And welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian the Ranger Tard, bringing you another solid NFL team, 32 NFL teams and 32 NFL fans. Today we go down south to the NFC South to talk about a team during the Hurricane Katrina days helped out with the community, getting them back on track there, won a Super Bowl and got back to prosperity, but since then has struggled to get back to where they should be. Today on the line we have, originally from Louisiana, our friend talk about the Saints, James Primo. James, are you on the line?
I'm right here.
Attaboy, attaboy. So let's talk Saints. Staten, Brian.
New Orleans Saints. So last season they finished 7-9. They finished in 3rd place in the NFC South. Did not make the playoffs. Offensively, they were 24th in rushing, but were the best in the league through the air. There's no surprise there. They were really just equally bad defensively. 31st against the run, 31st against the pass. They did draft defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, 12th overall out of Louisville. They added tight end Coby Fleener and linebacker James Laurinaitis through free agency. They did lose longtime receiver Marcus Colston, as well as Kyrie Robinson and Brandon Browner. So, as is no surprise, the Saints' offense continues to be extremely potent through the air, and Drew Brees is a fantasy football darling every year that he's out on the field. But at the same time, again, that defense has been poor for quite some time. They did draft Sheldon Rankins to try to address that, but there's going to be more that's needed. They're looking for a guy, Brandon Cooks, wide receiver. His second year, expect to have a really big year and the best passing offense in the league. But they're going to do something with that defense. Again, it hasn't improved in quite some time, many years, but they're in a salary cap crunch, so their options are kind of limited in what they can do there. So, James, going into the new season, what's exciting down in New Orleans?
Well, for me, the most exciting part is they've done a lot of work on the offense to get back to the 09 season. I'm not quite excited about C.J. Spiller. He can't stay healthy. He has done horrible since the Saints picked him up. But other than that, I mean, the offense is the offense. As long as Brees is behind the ball and he can play, that you're not going to stop the offense. Defensive-wise, they just got to do better. I mean, 31st in the league is horrible. Can't expect much more out of them. With what is this guy's name? I cannot pronounce it. Haloi Kikiaha. I think that's how you say it.
I don't think most people can pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't think we're not going to attempt that.
No worries there.
Anyway, he's a lineman. He was a linebacker last year. They moved him to defensive end this year. Well, he got hurt. That does not help the defense. I'm really actually excited about some of the defensive rookies and the fact that Roman Harper is back. He is a veteran from the Super Bowl, and he's a good staple on the defense.
Now, James, let me ask you, talking about the Drew Brees situation there, it is Drew Brees, but as Drew Brees gets up there in age, I think he's going to need a little bit more weapons, and Brian did bring up the Brandon Cooks thing. With the whole thing of Jimmy Graham getting out of there last year, I know, that might have been a time for him to change scenery, but what were you hearing down that way from the fallout of trading a top-flight tight end for a guy, Max Unger, in center to come there to the team? I mean, was there a lot of back for that?
Well, a lot of people were upset, including me, about the Jimmy Graham trade, but I will say this much. Have you heard about anything good Jimmy Graham's done this
Well, that and injuries, absolutely, yeah.
It helps keep Drew Brees on the field.
Yep.
Jimmy Graham, all he was a target. As long as he was on the field, Brees had to go number one to him.
And with that, in the same sense, we're talking about the offense. The Saints seem to be lacking that running back that's going to give them the catch out of the backfield like they had in previous years with Sproles and things to that effect. Do you see anything coming in the way of any of the rookies that they've taken in the draft or any guys off of free agency that can help them in the backfield?
Honestly, rookie-wise, I don't see anything that I'm really excited about. Now, I am excited to see if maybe Travaris Kidjet and C.J. Spiller can't do something decent this year.
If Spiller can stay healthy. If Spiller can stay healthy, yeah.
James, do you think that the addition of a guy like Coby Fleener, he was pass-catching tight end in Indianapolis. They had two guys there, so I guess he was semi-expendable. And do you see the Saints going back? I mean, he's not Jimmy Graham, and no one thinks he's going to be. But do you think that they really missed that pass-catching tight end last year? I mean, you wouldn't know it from the yards, but again, they didn't make the playoffs last year. So, what are you expecting out of a guy like Coby Fleener this year?
Well, actually, I'm expecting not much from him. He's been a kind of a middle-of-the-road tight end. I actually thought that they overpaid for him. I'm expecting him to be kind of like Benjamin Watson.
Okay.
Basically the same guy.
Hopefully not aging and hanging on, but that's okay. Well, that's another story.
Yeah, basically.
Defensively, you talked about Roman Harper. Now, Roman Harper is a veteran. Back in the day, he was a solid solid player, and I don't think anybody can doubt that he's a good player now. Do you think that they should really be counting on him being the aging veteran that he is, or they should be looking to somebody else in that secondary?
I'm not saying count on him so much. I mean, he is an older veteran. He's been in the league 11 years. He's just a staple. I mean, Jarius Byrd, he hasn't proved anything. We all know that. But you've got some of these younger backs that been in training camp. I hate to say it, but Brees was picked off like 5 or 6 times yesterday in training camp by some of these rookies. And they're coming up and they're doing really well. So I'm looking for a lot of these rookies, Von Bell and several of these other rookies, to come up big this year.
James, we mentioned in the intro, we mentioned the salary cap crunch that the Saints are in, and it seems to be something that every year it's an issue. And a lot of that money's going to Brees, and again, I mean, it's hard to argue against that. But do you feel at some point that they're going to have to make? I mean, they did trade Graham. Are they going to have to make some cuts that maybe they really don't want to do just to try to find their way out of this just suffocating salary cap situation they're in?
Well, I'm figuring they started with getting rid of Jimmy Graham. This is Drew Brees' last year on his contract. He's not going to be playing top performance more than 1 or 2 more years, and he's going to start a major decline. So I don't figure they're going to give me top dollar again. It's highly unlikely. So I'm pretty sure that salary cap issues are 1 to 2 years out from being not a problem.
Could this be Brees' swan song season in New Orleans? Do you think there's a possibility that he does not resign there if the money's not there for him?
I really honestly think that's a really good possibility. I hope that it's not, because he's still got several years that he can still be reliable. But if the money's not there or they can't come to an agreement, then I see him leaving this year.
I think a quick note on that is I think that Drew Brees is hamstringing the Saints right now, because like you said, they really have nobody in the awning ready to take over for Drew Brees, so they might have to pay him for another year or two just to get ready to get somebody in there. But the last thing I have for you, James, is the schedule. Not to say they have a horrible schedule. Actually, I think it's a pretty decent schedule that they have. They do have the Panthers, obviously the division they're in. They do have the Seahawks this year, the Kansas City Chiefs, which doesn't do them any favors. But I just see 3 out of the last 4 games at the end of the year. You got the Bucs twice in Arizona. I mean, that's monstrous. What do you think they're going to do in those schedule?
It's going to be a hard schedule, but I don't think the Panthers aren't going to be as good as they were last year. The NFC South is up for grabs every year. Very seldom does the same team win it twice.
That's good news for Mike.
I see them going I see the Saints going 10-6 this year.
10-6. Okay, so you have them third or second or even battling for the division title.
I really feel like if the defense performs well enough, as long as Brees is on the field, they will be battling for the division title.
Okay. Yeah, you heard it here first on the Sports Box. We're going to write that down, James. Well, that's all the time we have for the Saints today. We want to thank James Primo for getting on the line and talking Saints with us. Jim, it's been a pleasure. We thank you for working with me and setting this up. I'm really glad to have you on.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. That's all the time we have. Keep an eye out. We got some good stuff coming here on the Sports Box.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at SportsBox Show. Everything we post is going to be there. Send us your comments, your feedback, and let us know what you want to hear about.
And remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is still right here. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Don't forget to subscribe.